Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks, where perfection is a work in progress. I'm your host, Sam, and as always with me is my esteemed co-host, Tarik. How you doing tonight?
Hey, guys. How you doing? I'm doing pretty well. Sam, how about you?
I'm doing good. And we have the elusive Booger in the Boogermobile. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Things are looking good from the Boogermobile. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. It's great to have you back. We've missed you, of course. Anyway, Pardon Our Picks, of course, where perfection is a work in progress, is brought to you by Morningwood Crafter, morningwoodcrafter.com, powered by design and crafted by hand. And In Too Deep, tell me about their, why don't you tell me about their next show there, Booger?
Yeah, we have our final show of 2021. It's going to be New Year's Eve at Caddy's on Cordell in Bethesda, Maryland. It's the final show, and there is a $55 all-you-can-drink special. So if you're looking to have some fun and catch a little COVID, come on out and see us at Caddy's.
You didn't make it to Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve?
Yeah, no, yeah, not
I'm
yet.
sure they turned that down for,
I bet they did. Keep it
a little
local.
far away from home.
Well, it's coming down to it, guys. 2 weeks left in the regular season. There's only one person clinched in the AFC, and that's KC. But we have one of the tightest division races in the last 45 years in the AFC North. Guys, tell me, who's coming out with the division crown?
It is kind of anybody's game at this point. I think if you would have asked me where we'd be, 6 or 7 weeks ago, I think the Ravens would probably take it. But at this point, they're a team that's been decimated by injuries. They have quarterback problems. They have problems all across the board. So it's very possible they lose out. So it might come down to Cleveland and Cincinnati. If Cincinnati, who's been playing well, can keep doing that, it's definitely their division. But they're about to run into the Kansas City Chiefs, who are kind of getting their stride back again. So if Kansas City loses, then it'll make for a very interesting week 18 that could potentially decide the division.
Those are all very good points. Yeah, I think it's going to come down. Unfortunately, I think it's going to come down to Cincinnati or Cleveland, and both are kind of hitting their stride again. Ravens just don't. There's too many factors that can go against them, and Steelers, there's a lot of factors going against them as well. So the Steelers have not looked good. So I don't think either one of those teams, the two teams who usually dominate the North, I don't think either one of them are going to make it in.
Yeah, given all the injuries, of course, to Baltimore, it makes it a lot harder for them to get in. However, that offense has kept them in games. Even last week for a minute, Josh Johnson looked adequate. But you're going to have Tyler Huntley or Lamar Jackson back next week. And given that they're playing a hard team, but a team that can be beat, a team that's been beat by inferior competition in the past. In the Los Angeles Rams. The Bengals, however, do have a difficult slate going against the Browns Browns next week and the Chiefs this week. And of course, the Steelers playing the Browns this week and the Ravens next week. I said the Browns last time, didn't I? I meant Bengals. The Bengals play the Chiefs and then Browns. So, yeah, it might just come down to that Browns-Bengals game, but I don't think that if the Browns win that, they win the division. I think that the Ravens are in prime position to get the division back if the Bengals lose out.
And yeah, if the Ravens can just do anything on defense, the offensive that has actually improved without Lamar Jackson over the last few weeks. So all they need to do is get some defensive stops, and the offense the running game is getting better as the season's going on. So, they can figure it out on defense, they have a shot, but it's an uphill battle. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And even the number 7 seed is still in play because the Dolphins have a tough schedule. They play the New England Patriots next week, and this week they play the Titans. Yeah. So, one of those teams that don't win the division could slide into that spot.
By the way, I don't know if you guys know this. There's breaking news.
Breaking news.
Wow, we got effects and we got our budget went up.
Breaking news from your boy Booger. Unfortunately, we the football world lost a great today.
Yes.
And that was Mr. Coach John Madden, best known for his series of football games, but also the Raiders' longtime coach. So I have to remember him and all the great things that he did for football, including the boom. So
that's
and explain to us what a game of football is.
Yeah, absolutely. He did great for casual fans, and and I think he's probably one of the most well-recognized names in football. So definitely a major loss for the game today.
I think without him, the game of football, as we know it, would not be as big as it is.
No.
Considering first off, he was third choice to be the face of the game on video game. They wanted
the first two.
One of them was Joe Montana, I think, and I forget who the second one was, but he was the
number 2 is always so forgettable.
Yes, but he refused unless they made it an 11-on-11 game because they wanted to make it a 4-on-4 or 5-on-5 because it was easier to do. And because he made sure it was 11-on-11, it became so popular that it picked up more people, got into it. It picked up a bigger following and pushed more people into actually watching football, I believe. And knowing exactly.
Montana 22 just doesn't have the same ring as Madden.
Yeah, I mean, Joe Montana was big in the 80s.
Oh, I agree. I have nothing against Joe Montana. I'm just saying Madden 21, Montana 21. It just doesn't have the same impact.
No, Joe 21.
Maybe. You get the new Joe game yet?
Second choice was a coach named Joe Cap. I don't know.
Awesome. Thank you for pulling that up. I could not for the life of me remember who that was.
Nobody could remember that.
I just remembered that there was 3 of them.
Considering none of the 3 of us know who he is. Yeah.
He's a college coach. He coached for Cal.
Huh. Yeah.
I don't follow college ball, so.
Well, there's a fun fact.
Yeah. But
rest in peace, John Madden.
John Madden, you will be missed. Hall of Famer, of course. Big for the game of football.
Yep.
Speaking of big for the game of football, let's take a look at the standings here and see where everything stands. And boom, little John Madden for you. Look at that, making a comeback. I didn't change the pictures though. I missed one thing today.
Oh yeah, look at Jessica. She got a new haircut
and a new name. Yeah, big week by me. My picture is supposed to be there. Hers is supposed to be back where mine is. I should have changed that.
Sam got to glow up.
Yeah.
There you go, Sam.
Yeah, I look much prettier now.
Yeah, you clean up nicely.
Yeah. But it is coming down to it. Top 3 all within striking distance of each other. Excuse me. Bless you.
Thank you.
Goodness. And then
I got to say, there's a three-way race for first, and it's going to come down to the wire.
I would agree. I really needed that 3-game jump to get back into it, but I'm right there. It's anybody's race. Speaking of races, let's check out the AFC race. It sounded like it was going a bad direction.
Yeah, it did.
And the Dolphins have made it to the 7th seed with the win over the Saints last week. The Browns and shockingly the Broncos still technically in it at 7-8. But as you can see, guys, we have the Cincinnati Bengals at the number 3 seed because they beat the Ravens last week.
Who do you guys think is the best team in the AFC right now?
Ooh,
it's a tough question.
I think it's going to be weird, but it's Indianapolis.
Yeah, they're probably rolling. I think them and the Bills seem to be hitting their stride at the perfect time. poised to make a nice playoff push.
Yeah, they definitely have the most potential. Kansas City's been coming back to dominance, so it's easy to pick them. Tennessee's been figuring it out without his name escapes me. Their running back, Derrick Henry. So they seem to be making it work. So, but yeah, those two I think would be the two cropping up right at the heels with the biggest potential for the end of the year. So.
And of course, there was a traffic jam at 8 and 7 there. 4 teams vying for one playoff spot. Of course, the only team to clinch right now is KC in the AFC. So 2 weeks left. You're going to see a lot more clinching teams this week, I believe.
Buffalo. I tell you, it's a great time to be an AFC fan because, I mean, there's so many playoff spots within 1 or 2 games of each other. I mean, the teams are just so close this year. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. I can't wait to cut some of those teams off the bottom in the hunt because it's just
probably happen next week.
Yes, somebody's dropping. I know it. Either Pittsburgh or Cleveland.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully both.
But let's take a look at the NFC. And as you can see, more teams have clinched in this one. There's only 2 open spots left and the division crown for the AFC West. You guys think Arizona's got a chance to come back and get that one?
I don't know. They've been faltering lately. They've seemed to have lost their way at the absolute worst time. So they got some things to figure out if they want to get the division.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be hard for them. They haven't looked like as dominant as they did. They look mortal now. So
I would agree with that. But if Arizona wins out, the Rams would have to stumble once. They play 2 tough teams. They play the Ravens this week, and next week, I want to say they play the 49ers because that's not going to be an easy one for them.
Yeah, neither one, especially for West Coast teams coming to the East Coast is always a very big challenge.
Yeah, they definitely play the 49ers next week, and it's the 49ers may be playing for their playoffs at that point. So, I mean, they're going to throw the kitchen sink at them. But, of course, the Atlanta Falcons are still technically in it. You know, they get a couple wins, and they'll be looking golden. But those damn Philadelphia Eagles are in the 7th seed. Could there be 2 teams in the East? We're going to find out.
That was one of the worst divisions of football last year.
Yep. Well, I mean, Dallas didn't have a quarterback, and that's, bad for the entire division.
Worth arguing they're still one of the worst divisions in football, but because of the mediocrity in the NFC, they have a shot.
I don't know if they're the worst. They got 3 teams vying for playoff spots at this point. Washington technically still in it. Whereas
6 and 9.
How are they still in it? What is the scenario where they win it?
They win out and the Eagles lose out.
Because of the tiebreaker, because they play each other this week, right?
They do. So, and they would have the better division record, I believe.
Yeah, they need a lot of help, but they have a shot at it.
Yep. I can't technically eliminate them or the Broncos, who have a 1% chance of making it. Because we've seen crazy things happen in the past.
It'd be really crazy if the Broncos made the NFC playoffs, that's for sure.
That absolutely would be crazy.
Might be the only way they have to do it.
I think they're wishing they were in the NFC at this point. They'd have a better shot. But let's get on to the games, guys. And we're going to start with Brian Booger's game of the week. Who you got?
All right. So for this week, we have a huge matchup. Raiders at Colts. That's going to be a pretty big one. Colts are both teams trying to get their way into the playoffs. Both teams playing pretty well. I think what's going to happen in this game is it's really going to come down to COVID. So right now the Colts are favored by 7.5. But they have some players on the COVID list, their entire offensive line, as well as their starting quarterback and Carson Wentz. So it really comes down to if the NFL decides to update their COVID protocol based on the new CDC guidelines. So I think if those players are all out, it definitely gives the Raiders a chance, especially anytime you lose a bunch of players on your offensive line, it's going to cause issues. So it's really kind of a wait and see to see what's going on. If the Colts are able to have those players, I think they smash the Raiders. I think they've got no shot. Colts are on a really good roll. Again, like we said, they are peaking at the exact perfect time. So it's really hard to pick this game, but I think I'm gonna lean towards Indianapolis. I think even if Carson Wentz doesn't play, I think they still have a really good shot, just because they're at home and they're, like I said, they're a team that's peaking. So I'm gonna take the Colts rather.
Tarik.
I completely agree with Brian here with Booger. I'm sorry. So
It's just Brian's Booger.
Yeah. Ew. I don't want to think that. So Brian covered the whole thing. There's nothing really I can say extra on that. The Colts are at home. They definitely usually have home field advantage. Raiders have not looked good. They've had problems on the field, off the field, in the back office, coach wise, and everything else. Normally, I would just pick them the Colts hands down on this one. But there are things to consider that we won't know till Saturday night or Sunday morning even. So I'm going with the Colts preliminarily. Not that I can change it after I post this video, but I'm going with the Colts.
I mean, sure you can. I won't, but you can. Colts with Jonathan Taylor, even behind a backup line against the Raiders, whose defense isn't really all that great, still stands a chance. Jonathan, he's just a monster. He's been a monster this year. I know it took him 4 games to catch up to Derrick Henry, who's been out for the most of the season at this point. But he has stepped into that role of the dominating back. Carson Wentz has actually looked really good. Michael Pittman on the offense has stepped up as an offensive leader. And if they have a backup quarterback in, they're going to rely heavily on that run game. I think that can still win them the game. The Raiders, with the interim coach who has acquitted himself quite well. They've won more games with the interim coach than I thought was possible.
True.
But I just don't think they have enough to beat a team of this caliber. I have the Colts, and it's going to be really close if that offensive line is out. All right, let's move on to Tarik's game of the week. Who you got?
So I got, and we've already discussed both of these teams at length, I got Miami at Tennessee. So I think this is interesting. You got both teams vying for playoffs, vying for division potentially. You got Miami all of a sudden surging, doing well. You got a new running back, doing better than they were doing. I wouldn't say well, but they're doing better than they were before. Won 7 straight. And then Tennessee has been, I didn't look at their record, but they've got 6 games. So they're at home. They got 6 of their wins have been at home this year. So they've won more games. So they definitely got the home field advantage here. I think Tennessee is going to take the wind out of the sails for Miami. I think this is just a little bit too hard of a team for them to beat. And they're trying really hard to get into that backup spot to the Colts. So, but I'm going for Tennessee.
Booger.
I am going against the grain, and I think that Miami, despite having kind of the odds against them playing a good team at home, they've been playing pretty well, and they've been on that 7-game win streak. I think they're going to keep it rolling. I know that Tua has dropped off the last few weeks in terms of his production, but I think that they're going to find a way to get him going again, and I think they're going to sneak in the win, and I think they're going to surprise some people.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Thank you.
I think I got that right.
Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try.
CJ, who's your mama? That's one that goes way back. All right, yeah, Tennessee. with the lack of Derrick Henry. The running game has suffered, and with that, the passing game has suffered. And I believe that one of their top wide receivers is out for the rest of the season, which is unfortunate for them. The Dolphins on that tear of 7-game winning streak, of course, coming off the heels of a 7-game losing streak. They have beat 2 teams in that time that had winning records. The Saints last week and the Baltimore Ravens a couple weeks ago. Now, mind you, both teams were pretty well beat up and missing starters. Tennessee, however, they are a hit and miss team as of this point. Sometimes Tannehill looks like he can handle it. Sometimes he looks like he's lost out there. But I think this week is actually going to be very close. I wanted to pick Miami because I think Miami has a really good chance this week. But I got Tennessee. Get Tennessee in a close one, and it might be just an elimination game for Miami. They got a hard schedule coming up. And it's unfortunate after winning 7 straight to not get there. All right, let's move on to the next game. We have the Kansas City Chiefs, 2 division leaders, going against the Cincinnati Bengals. Who we got, Tarik?
I'm going with Kansas City on this one. Bengals, I think they're going to put up a fight. But Kansas City, as Brian/Booger said earlier, like Kansas City's they're coming back right at the right time, right as they need to. They're finishing off the season strong. Cincinnati's putting forth some good effort. They showed up well against Baltimore last week. But I think Kansas City, they know what to do here. Cincinnati really doesn't. They don't really finish the season strong. They haven't done much in playoffs in years. Kansas City's made it to the Super Bowl the last 2 years, so they know what to do. I think they can taste it. They want back. They want redemption for losing against the Tom Brady's. So I think Kansas City's going to do this. Booger?
And I think I would love to pick the Chiefs just because they are the Chiefs and they're currently favored by 5.5 on the road, which is a pretty big deal. But I think Cincinnati's coming off a pretty big win against what they would consider one of their rivals. Their offense is playing really well. They definitely have some defensive trouble. I think Kansas City's probably going to put up a ton of points. But at home, I think Cincinnati might have the edge actually with their offense. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, and Cincinnati's going to take it in a close one.
Big pick by Booger. I love it. Kansas City, of course, riding high, won their division, but still going for that number 1 seed. Cincinnati, 1 win gets them the division. They can both taste it. They're both this close. But I can't pick against Kansas City in this game. Kansas City, they're just as Tarik put it, the more experienced team. The Bengals, of course, with the second-year quarterback, first-year receiver in Jamar Chase. And yeah, they have done great. That was a huge turnaround from last year. Of course, Joe Burrow with the leg injury last year. I think the Bengals struggle in this one, struggle defensively in this one, and they've had a good defense all year. Kansas City, I got them winning. It's going to be a high-scoring game, just like you guys said, but I got Kansas City. It's just too hard to pick against them right now. Let's move on to the next game. We have the Cardinals heading south for the winter, while the stars are rising in Texas. Who you got, Booger?
I love picking against the Cowboys just because they're the Cowboys. However, Cardinals have been faltering lately. Cowboys are at home. They're playing really well at 11-4. They're gonna they locked up the division, correct? They won their division.
They did, thanks to a Las Vegas win last week.
Yeah, and I believe they have a shot at number 1 or 2 seed. So I think they're gonna be playing really hard to try and get what's probably one of their first home playoff games in a long time, right?
2 years.
Yeah. So I'm gonna take the Cowboys.
I agree with everything Brian said, and that last couple of games, it doesn't always happen. But yeah, there's nothing I can really add on to that. So the Cowboys are at home; they can taste it. They're doing better than they've done in years. Yeah, they may have made it to the playoffs, but I think they actually have a shot. Best shot that they've had since Troy Aikman. So, because as much as that Monday Night Football commentator Tony Romo, he Sam's favorite quarterback of all time. So he did okay. Most Dallas fans don't like him, but he actually he kept them in playoff contention, even though they didn't do anything with it. But this is one of the better teams I've seen that they've had in a while. So I think Cowboys got this.
First off, let me set the record straight. Tony Romo is a CBS analyst, not a Monday Night Football.
Whatever.
That would be Chris Collinsworth.
He sucks too.
You can never compare the two. Romo is amazing. Glorious at his job.
I need to get an audio thing of that and just press it over and over again. That Romo's amazing.
You do. Yeah, I think he had a bad beat when he was in Dallas. They had no defense. But let's get back to this game. This is a classic NFC East matchup. And I know that sounds weird because it's Arizona and Dallas, but you both used to be in the NFC East. Weird, right? Quite frankly, the Arizona Cardinals have an explosive offense, but it seems to have fizzled in the past couple of weeks. Dallas with that explosive defense, of course, franchise tying interceptionist Trayvon Diggs, and the defensive rookie of the year / player of the year in Micah Parsons. It's a little weird to say that because Dallas's defenses have been crap in the past couple decades. But given that they have kept teams to point totals that I didn't think was possible by a Dallas team, and their offense just absolutely exploded on Monday night. Ended up with a 56-14 score against, of course, Washington. But still, the Arizona Cardinals, they're struggling, and I think this game is going to be really, really close. It's going to be high scoring. Arizona Cardinals, I think, just don't have the defense to stop Dallas, and I think that's going to be the key here. I have Dallas winning in a close one, but this is going to be probably the most exciting game of the week. All right, let's move on to the last game. We have an ad hoc elimination game between the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The loser of this one gets eliminated from the playoffs 2 weeks out. Tarik, who's got the win?
I think Cleveland has the win. So Cleveland has been looking a little better from their shaky bit in the middle there. Pittsburgh has been circling the drain. They don't look good. They lost last week. I think Cleveland's got this. I think they're going to come out on top, and they're going to hold the Steelers off with the stiff arm and keep them there the whole game.
Okay, Booger.
I think that I still don't trust Cleveland, and they've played a lot of close games that they lost this season, which I think really just kind of drains the team. And with the Steelers being at home, despite being 3-point underdogs, I think the Steelers there's no way they can lose to the Browns at home in week 17 of the football season. So I'm picking the Steelers.
Okay. Pittsburgh, of course, did make a show of it last week. They might have lost, but they actually made it close. Cleveland making it real close with the Green Bay Packers, and aside from a missed pass interference penalty on Green Bay, where they intercepted the ball in under 2 minutes, I think that was the difference there. But of course, they shouldn't have been in that position anyway. Cleveland are a good team. They can't, like Booger said, they can't close out games. They Cleveland. They definitely brown at the wrong time.
Brown's going to brown.
Yes, Browns are going to brown. But I think last year they did beat Pittsburgh in the playoffs, and I think they're hungry to try and get back to that to that spot. I don't think Ben Roethlisberger's got enough in him to win this game. I got Cleveland winning in a lower scoring game. All right, folks, let's move on to the quick hitters, and we're going to start, of course, with the Atlanta Falcons going into Buffalo. Can they get off the ground this week?
Nope, Birds are going to crash. Bills win.
Bills, no question.
Atlanta, I think you're going to get eliminated this week. The Bills for the victory. Let's move on to the next game. We have the New York Giants against the Chicago Bears. Both teams already eliminated from the playoffs, but nobody cares. Who you got, Booger?
This is my most exciting game of the week. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a nail biter. Bears take the win.
I agree with the Bears, and I think if Brady had been on, he would have picked this to be his game of the week because that's what he's been picking lately. But yeah, I got Chicago.
I was going to say the exact same damn thing. Yeah, New York without the starting quarterback. Chicago, even though they are a dumpster fire themselves, will win this game. Chicago. Let's move on to the next game. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars, toothless in their past most of their games this year, going against the Patriots, trying to get into the playoffs. Who we got, Tarik?
I think the Patriots are going to shoot some cats. So I got Pats going to win. Not even close.
The Pats will kill the Cats. Patriots by a lot.
I'm not going to argue with that. The Patriots are going to win this game, and Jacksonville is really hoping to get that number one pick. All right, we have the Tampa Bay Tom Brady's going against those New York Jets. Can the Jets shock Tampa Bay this week?
There's no way. Bucks by a bunch.
No way.
There is a way if Tom Brady doesn't get on the plane. Of course, they are missing their top wide receiver. I still have Tampa Bay winning this one. Let's move on. We have the Philadelphia Eagles playing the Washington football team. Will the football team be eliminated this week?
I'm going to go with no. I think they can beat the Eagles.
Ooh.
Yeah, this one's a really hard game to pick, I think. Both teams are kind of playing okay at the moment, but I'm going to give the edge to the football team just because they're at home. Hopefully they don't fight each other this time.
Yes, of course, coming to blows on the sidelines last week against Dallas. But when you're getting blown out like that, tempers get flared just a bit. I do have the Eagles winning this one simply because they want to stay in the playoff race. They're going to want it more. Let's move on. We have the LA Rams coming into Baltimore. Can Baltimore stay in that playoff race?
I just don't think Baltimore's defense can stop anybody. It's been nice to see their offensive play better, but their defense, they're not getting players back. They just keep losing players. So I'm going to take the Rams.
Yeah, I think the exact same thing. LA.
The Rams had struggled mightily last week. Matthew Stafford, unfortunately, had some issues. He was on my fantasy team and caused me to lose last week. I'm a little bitter because was this close to the championship game. But that being said, I think they bounce back. I think the Baltimore Ravens lose. It's going to be close, though. Move on to the Denver Broncos going against the San Diego Chargers. The Chargers just trying to get back into that playoff spot. Can the Broncos knock them out?
Chargers lost surprisingly by quite a bit to a team who's not very good. So I think that they've consistently played decently all season. So I think they're actually going to bounce back, especially being at home. So I'm going to take the Chargers.
I think Denver has a potential, but as with the Ravens, it depends on who's playing, when and where and how. But right now, I think the Chargers got it.
Yeah, I think that loss last week gave the Chargers a bit of a jolt, and I think lightning strikes this week against the Broncos.
How many punts can you make, Sam?
Go Chargers, go. All right, let's move on to the next game. The Houston Texans, who won last week against those Chargers, going against San Francisco, who lost last week in, some would say, surprising fashion to the Tennessee Titans. Who we got?
I'm going with the 49ers returning the Houston Texans to their proper form.
I agree with that. I think the Texans kind of got lucky. Sometimes that happens in the NFL, but I don't think that's going to happen again. I think the 49ers are probably going to smash them.
I think Sam Mills might have played himself into at least competition for the number one quarterback next year. That being said, though, San Francisco needs the win to stay in that number 6 seed. I got San Francisco winning this. The 5-10 Bengals going against those Saints this week. Can the Saints come marching back?
Yes, I think so. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Booger.
I was going to say yes as well. I think the Saints will go marching on.
I believe that the Saints will have their starting quarterback back, and Cam Newton, he needs to retire. He's done. Sam Darnold, you can't platoon him. He can't play like that. I got the Saints. Let's move on. We have the 2-12-1 Detroit Lions going against the Seattle Seahawks. Who we got this week? Booger?
Seahawks were eliminated, I believe, last week, which was super surprising. I think the Lions actually have a ton of heart on that team despite their schedule. So I'd kind of like to see the Lions go in there and get a win against a Seahawks team who has nothing to play for. Neither one does, but I think the Lions just have more heart. So I'm taking the Lions.
Hart could do a lot. I've got the Seahawks doing this just because they're a little bit of a better team, not by much. But yeah, Lions are playing for a little bit more of their pride this week, but I'm going with Seattle.
Nice pun. Yes. Apparently I'm not the only one that can do them. The Lions, of course, I think they may still be without their starting quarterback, Jared Goff. I think that might be the difference here. Yes, the Seattle Seahawks lost in a surprise 2-point conversion by the Bears, who had nothing to play for except for pride. I do have the Seattle Seahawks bouncing back because they're probably a little pissed about that. Let's move on. We have the Sunday night game, the Minnesota Vikings going into Green Bay. Can Minnesota pull off the upset?
No.
I concur.
As much as I would love to see Minnesota come in there and beat Green Bay, I can't. It's really hard to pick him. And Dalvin Cook will be back for that game. He had COVID. That's why he wasn't in the previous game. And I think they have a shot, actually, because Green Bay hasn't looked great. I got Green Bay, though. As much as I would love to see Green Bay lose and Dallas win, get that number 1 seed, Green Bay winning this. Hope I'm wrong. All right. And I think that is it.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, the one and only Booger, for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So make sure you leave a like on that button there, down there below the video, there, wherever it is. Comment, let us know who you're going to win, who you think is going to win. I know words. Say who you think is going to make it into playoffs. Let us know how wrong you think we are. Subscribe and hit that bell so you know when we're putting up new videos. And rest in peace, John Madden, and our prayers go out to his friends and family during this time. And we'll see you guys next time. I'm Tarik.
I'm Booger.
I'm Sam. And you have a great football week.
Bye, guys.